Today on CTV News at 5.
It was a wonderful tribute, but it's just such a senseless, horrible thing to try to comprehend.
Mitch McLean is laid to rest in PEI. The former Lethbridge Bulls player was shot to death near Claresholm last week. Plus, Southern Alberta makes the cut. Environment Canada releases its list of the top 10 weather stories of the year. And
it's going to be a very sad occasion.
A bishop denies a historic Lethbridge church the chance to hold Christmas Mass.
CTV News with Kayla Carr.
Good afternoon. It's been an emotional day on Prince Edward Island for the family and friends of Mitch McLean. He was one of the 3 victims of a triple murder-suicide that happened last week near Claresholm. Hundreds gathered today for McLean's funeral. CTV's Ashley Dunbar reports.
It was a somber morning as family and friends of Mitch McLean gathered at a church outside Charlottetown for the 20-year-old's funeral. Less than a week ago, McLean and 3 of his friends were victims of a triple murder-suicide. Tanner Craswell and Tabitha Steppel were both shot and killed. The 4th victim, Shayna Conway, remains in a Calgary hospital. Friends who attended the funeral say the service was fitting for the young man.
It's what he would have wanted. It's exactly how he would have wanted it.
It was a wonderful tribute, but it's just such a senseless, horrible thing to try to comprehend. And the young people are having a difficult time, but the minister did a beautiful job, and it was a very touching service.
McLean's mother, Diane, read a poem at this morning's service.
I thought her poem was very touching and moving. She's a stoic, strong lady, but it's just hard to put all this into words and make sense of it.
Like everyone's always been saying, he's always smiling, having a good time, and I've never seen him upset or down, and he's always been, like everyone keeps saying, the life of the party. At least that's how I seen him when he was at my house.
Loud cries were heard as McLean's casket was carried from the church. A number of his friends wore baseball caps to honor the promising ball player.
It doesn't seem like it really happened because just such a small community. When something like this happens, it's such a big thing.
The body of McLean's close friend, Tanner Craswell, is resting at the Hennessy Funeral Home in Charlottetown. His funeral will be held tomorrow. Ashley Dunbar, CTV News, Winslow, Prince Edward Island.
And the funeral for Tabitha Steppel was held yesterday in Lethbridge. Family and friends of a missing man who grew up in Lethbridge are holding a candlelight vigil tonight. 25-year-old Matthew Huzar was last seen leaving a bar in downtown Vancouver after going to an office Christmas party. The Catholic Central graduate moved to the Lower Mainland to attend the University of British Columbia. A vigil of hope will take place in Lethbridge tonight, 9 o'clock in the Ridgewood Park Heights area. A 30-year-old Lethbridge woman is accused of stealing more than $200,000 from her employers. Police say between October 2009 and August 2010, an employee at Mosaic Molding Industries, Providence Homeowners Association, and Design Signs stole more than 6 dozen checks for personal gain. The majority of those checks had forged signatures. 30-year-old Brandy Vanden Hengel is charged with theft and forgery charges. She's scheduled to make her first court appearance January 6th. Lethbridge police have also charged 5 people after a month-long drug investigation. On Wednesday, officers searched a hotel room at the Comfort Inn on Fairway Plaza Road South. Inside, they found cocaine, marijuana, and cash. Later in the day, officers stopped a vehicle. Inside, they found more cocaine and more cash. 20-year-old Leslie Cole, 25-year-old Kamal Farah, 20-year-old Tyson Shields, 21-year-old Ismail Ali, and 23-year-old Afran Ali are all facing drug-related charges. The Alberta Securities Commission has extended a cease trading order against 2 Lethbridge area men and their investment company. Investigators allege Randy Tyler Stevenson and Brent Ray Derricott raised about $1.2 million from more than 50 people. Investors were promised returns of 100 to 150 times the amount invested after 6 months. Investors are being cautioned against sending money to Stevenson or Derricott while the cease trading order is in effect. 3 women from the Blood Reserve will return to court in January on charges of intimidation. The matter was adjourned yesterday following a court appearance in Cardston. One of the women, Louise Frank, has filed a notice that she intends to fight the charge on a question of constitutionality and is asking the provincial court to transfer the case to the federal court of Queen's Bench. The intimidation charges stem from a protest on the Blood Reserve earlier this year when Frank and the other women blocked a road leading to a well site. A number of environmental groups, including CTVLethbridge Earthwatch, are supporting the women and calling for a moratorium on fracking.
You know, some people would want to argue statements of fact. He said, she said, they did, What I've done is I've put it in perspective by saying we're going to argue statements of law. I differed, with my lawyer because I do not want to be, putting security guards on the stand and this and that. I would like to argue the real issues. And the real issues are that Indians and Indian lands have to be protected.
Frank says she went to the well site to try and find out what chemicals were being used in the fracking process. All three women are scheduled to return to court January 23rd. And Dory is here now with a first look at weather. Dory, we should reach about 10 degrees on Christmas Day. Is that a record?
No, it's close. It was 16 degrees in 1999, but we're keeping an eye on it because things have been changing by the hour. Just in the last hour, Saturday's temperature could hit 10 degrees as well. We were predicting 9. So things are kind of fluid as far as temperatures go, but we'll keep an eye on it, and I'll give you all the details as to why we're getting so warm and also why we're going to get so windy. That'll be coming up in a couple of minutes.
Well, speaking of wind, last month's windstorm in southern Alberta has made Environment Canada's list of the top 10 weather stories of the year. It happened on November 27th. In Claresholm, wind gusts were clocked at 144 kilometers an hour. A home weather station in Pincher Creek clocked gusts at 204 kilometers an hour. The storm also propelled a raging grass fire toward Lethbridge, forcing the evacuation of dozens of people in the county. The windstorm was a costly one. The Insurance Bureau of Canada reports the estimated insured damage amounts to at least $200 million. The top story of the year weather-wise was historic spring flooding in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. For the first time in 98 years, a historic downtown church will not be hosting Christmas Mass. In August, St. Patrick's Church was shuttered. That means it's closed, but may be used for some special occasions with approval from the bishop. The Roman Catholic Diocese is planning to replace the historic church and 2 others with a new mega church. The Save Our Churches Foundation petitioned the bishop to allow Christmas Mass at St. Patrick's, but he declined.
It's going to be a very sad occasion, especially when Christmas brings families together, and we're not going to be able to honor this tradition by coming back to St. Pat's.
Because this is in the downtown core. For some people, it's very accessible in what they're used to doing, and they have a way of getting here. So for many people, it's going to be a confusing and a different year.
And the Save Our Churches members say they aren't giving up hope that the bishop will reopen the church and plan to continue their campaign into the new year. Local volunteers made a surprising discovery in a Christmas kettle. Salvation Army volunteers emptied their kettles to find a diamond ring wrapped in some material. Major Brian Beveridge says they get lots of checks and cash, but valuable donations with sentimental value are rare. He says there is a possibility someone unintentionally dropped the ring into the kettle at the North Side Save On Foods. Major Beveridge says if it was an accident, he wants to return it. If not, it may raise other questions.
If it wasn't accidental, then it says to me that there's a lot of hurt behind that, because it's a part of somebody's life, and you don't just throw that away. And to me, a ring, in what it symbolizes, if it's something that you discard, then there's a lot of hurt behind it, and maybe they need to. Maybe they're saying to me, "Hey, I'll give this to you, but I need to talk to somebody."
And Major Beveridge says providing emotional support at Christmas is just as important as providing hampers and responding to other needs. Anyone who might have lost the ring by accident can get it back by calling the Salvation Army and providing a description of the ring. Right now, let's take a look at today's markets.